Hi everyone, ThatPaulGuy. In one of my previous, well, actually the Talking Head video I did earlier today, in one other video I mentioned that I wanted to do a tutorial on frames and getting a separate frame to pop up instead of the console that usually comes down here where everything is handled. So today I'm going to go ahead and show everybody how to do that. It's not that big of a process, not that hard of a process, but it does take just a little bit of finagling. And you have to do one or two things just a little bit different. So we're going to create a Java application. And let's create a Java application called my console. I could do my panel, my whatever. I just want something where I can identify it. Actually, let's do that. Let's go my panel and say app. Okay, and in this case, we're going to keep from creating a main class. We are not going to create a main class yet. So uncheck this. Normally it's checked. We want to uncheck it. Then finish. And then under here, source packages, default package, because right now that's the only thing under source, jFrame form, new jFrame, and let's call it my new panel, my new panel. We'll use that as the package name, and there we go. So now we've got a framework that pops up, and we can start putting some things in it. So in this case, we've already got a frame, so let's make a panel. We'll put a panel in here, and the panel is what's actually going to allow us to put buttons and text fields and all that stuff. So we're going to go to Properties, click on Properties. Right now it says no border. Let's change that. Let's change it to titled border, and under titled border, my new panel, and you will see that that will actually pop up right here. So we close that, and then we can start adding some other things. So we're going to add a couple of labels. And we can add some text fields. And you can move these around anywhere you want to. There's nothing that says exactly where something has to be, but you can see as I move things around, you'll get these little guide markers that pop up and tell you if it's lined up with the one underneath it or beside it or what have you. And then we're going to have a couple of buttons as well. All right. So now we can go through and we can actually manipulate these a little bit. Let's do that. Change this text and let's put first. Actually, let's change that a little bit. Let's go first, oops, I'm sorry, first number, edit text, second number, edit text, third number. And under the text fields, we're also going to edit that text. We'll clear that. Oops. Edit text, clear. Edit text, clear. And then I want to make these just a little bit bigger here, bring them back out. That one's wanting to be particularly ornery right now. And then on these, let's see, we'll make add. Let's make this one clear. And let's make this one exit. Okay, now as you can see, every time I miss a click on there, it would take me back over to the source. We're going to explore that in a second. But let's go ahead and click on one of these buttons. We'll click on the exit button, and we'll do edit text. Events is what we're going to do. So we're going to go to events, action, action performed. And this is going to actually ask us what we want to happen when we hit button number 3. So J button number 3, action performed, and then we've got our little event here. So in this case, we're going to do system exit, And that's simply telling it to close out, and that should be a period right there. Okay, so there. All right, we'll go back to design, and let's go to another one, and let's go to events, action, and action performed. And what we want to happen here is I actually want these text fields that we just created over here. I want whatever's in those to disappear when I do this. So back to source. It's still in our cursor right here. J text field 1 set text. Operates sort of like getters and setters normally. So in this case, we just want it to do, we want it to set it back to nothing. J field, sorry about that. J text field, you guys should have told me. Number 2, set text. And just to keep from having to type everything, let's go ahead and copy. Then we'll change this to 3. So if we run this, here's his main class that got set up just a second ago. I told you we were going to click on it to begin with. It set it up for us when we went ahead and started working on the project. So it's going to go ahead and run. And this actually printed up just top right hand corner at 0, 0 on my screen. So I'm going to do something in a moment to move that back where it needs to be. So if we have just some random stuff in here and I hit clear, it clears everything out. If I hit exit, of course it closes the application. What I want to do is, I was telling you guys that it created that in the top right hand corner. I'm going to go here where the new panel is actually created to begin with, and I'm going to go ahead and jPanel set location, and that should be a large P. Set location, and let's do 500 to 50. Did I do that one? Oh, you know what? That probably should be framed, shouldn't it? There we go. And that way our whole entire frame is going to pop up in the same spot. Okay. Actually, I don't even need to put jFrame there because I'm just merely setting the location, and we're already inside that panel. So let's try to run this again real quick. And now it pops up where we can see it. So we've done that, and we might be onto something here. So then we're going to go back to design, and we want to take the add button and events for the add button, action performed. Okay. There we go. And we're going to set up a couple things here. So first of all, if we want to add the 2 empty text fields together to come up with a third one, what we're going to have to do is define a couple of numbers. So let's first do that. Let's make them floats so it's easier. And float, we'll say number 1, number 2, and number 3. We could call that result, we could call that number 3, we can call that anything we want to. And then we'll have to tell it where to look to get them. So number 1 is going to be the float that actually resides. So parse float, and you can see this right here. But in this case, parse float, we're going to tell it where to go look for that, which is J text field 1. Get text. Now if I did that right, that will offer to go and get the number or whatever might be in the first box, and it should be a float number that we put in there. So then we're going to copy this, because if I got the syntax right, I got it right, we're good to go. And then I'll just change one or two things here. Let's go 2, and in the text field 2. All right. So we're going to go number 3 is equal to number 1 plus number 2. I know it sounds simple, doesn't it? The next part, though, is what we're going to make sure. J text field 3, where our result should be going. Set text string value of, and we're going to do number 3. So if we've done this right, what I'm doing is I'm setting up those variables like in anything else, just a couple of primitives, they're floats. We're taking the first number that's in box number 1, the second one that's in box number 2, we're adding those together, we're putting that in text box number 3. So we're first number, second number, third number. So ideally, if we do go ahead and run this, and we've done it right, we can put the first number in, say 2, second number in, say 5. If we hit the add button, then we get 7, and that's correct. So we should be able to do that with any numbers. 10, 54, and so on. You can also go ahead and exit. You can move these buttons over, and by just doing something very similar, you can do subtract, multiply, and divide. And all you have to do is each one of those buttons that get set up will have a different action, and you can just do something very similar to this, but instead of plus, you do minus, multiply, divide, etc. So again, we just created a simple panel that had, or a simple frame that had a simple panel. We called it My New Panel. We put a couple of numbers on there that we added together, and to show you that it does work if we have things in there we don't want anymore, we can hit clear and start all over again. And then of course exit the program. So, all right, I know it's a little bit long-winded, sorry about that, but hopefully it's an easy way to work through things. Once again, when you're creating a project, you do not want to hit, you don't want to click the button that says to set up the main. You're going to that will actually happen as you're doing the next step when you go to design the actual frame and the panel and everything. So if it helps, I appreciate it. Leave me some comments, like if you like it. Always remember, you're welcome to subscribe. I also take constructive criticism. I take that pretty well. I don't cry or anything, I promise. Or I might, but I won't put it in a video. How's that? So until the next time, guys, I'm also working on something like this for Visual Studio, because Dave in California led me on to something that you can do it in Visual Studio 2017. That you can also have this kind of application where you can use a framework and panel and all that stuff in there as well. So that's all I got. Until the next time, guys, appreciate it, and we'll see you.